I should mute it.
Maybe we need some more
Are
light
you
in the front.
muted,
Why
Gloria?
don't you flip that light on?
Up above.
No, I'm not muted.
Hi, Gloria.
Hi, thank you. This is Gloria Lindstrom.
Hi.
And
Hi, Gloria. Oh my gosh, it's good to see you.
and this is my sister from Virginia. So there's three of us huddled around this TV.
Well, I remember meeting your sister just the other night.
Yes,
Right.
that's right. Hi, Sue.
Oh, and there's Gloria Lindstrom. Hi, Gloria.
Ah.
All right.
You're having a slumber party.
Well, not quite,
Oh, okay.
I've been slumbering
but we've
here.
had a good 2 days.
Nice. Mhm.
Good. Well, I got 7 o'clock, but we're gonna wait just a couple minutes before we start, just in case we get a few more people wanting to come in. But while we do, I want to remind everybody that this program is being recorded. So
Don't swear.
Yeah.
you may want to be a little more careful about what you say.
Judy doesn't trust us.
I don't trust myself.
Stop the video. So I'll just click on this. Oh no. Mute
So
it.
how are you all doing? Why don't we talk about birds while we wait to see if anyone else is going to join us? Leslie's not on yet, and she's our program lead. So what have you been seeing for birds?
Lots of crows where I live.
We're muted.
Lots of crows.
Just to-
Lots of
Nothing new, I
hummingbirds.
guess.
Like,
Yeah,
You know, starting to see some change in the birds coming to my feeder. So getting more of the fall birds, the juncos and the chickadees. Birds
oh,
are slowly starting to come back. Saw a couple of weeks ago, I saw quite a few western bluebirds out in the field near me. I assume they were starting to flock up before migration. And I've been out hiking lately, and we went up high, and I've seen numerous Clark's nutcrackers up high.
great.
And so they're great fun. Yesterday, somewhere along the Cle Elum River, we saw several turkey vultures kind of roosting in a tree. And I'm wondering if they weren't migrating and hadn't stopped over for the night to roost and were just waiting for the warmth of the day for the thermals, because they migrate during the day when they can take advantage of the thermals.
Did not know that.
Well, we were up picking huckleberries a couple times in the past couple weeks, and there were no birds up there. It's up about 5,500 feet above Lake Cle Elum in French Cabin Creek Basin. And hardly any birds. You know, I might have heard a flicker. Can't think of anything else. We were sure we heard a bear.
That's
Oh,
what
the
it feels
bears
like
were in
here.
town.
That's what it feels like here, that the birds have declined or left. I noticed all the bitter brush, all the leaves were drought damaged by the end of July. They're all brown, and I've never seen that before here.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing.
Is that Sue Briggs there?
Yeah.
Hi, Sue.
Yes, it is. Hi.
Nice to see you, Sue.
Well, it's good to be here. I don't know what I've done
Well,
because
thank,
everything just disappeared, but I didn't want to miss this. This is so special.
okay,
Yeah.
great. Yes, we're looking forward to it too.
Sue,
And
there's probably a little button down on the bottom left that says start video.
Okay.
You must have hit the stop video version of it.
Yeah.
I'm back to pressing a button to start the Zoom. So maybe do I need to go there?
No.
No,
Okay.
you're already here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter right now who's on video. Actually, when we get to broadcasting the program,
Uh-huh.
sometimes if we're not on video, it takes up less bandwidth for the
Okay.
programs. And when we do start the program, I'd ask you all to mute yourself unless you're doing the presenting.
Okay, I'm going to get my daughter to help me out because I need to go on mute. I can't, there's nothing at the bottom. I'm back to my,
Okay, I think we just,
You're muted.
I just muted you, Sue. So I just found out I've got all kinds of powers.
and hello, Gloria Lindstrom, over there in the corner. Did you hear?
Ah,
Yeah.
She's hiding back there. Good to see you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we can
There's
start,
Sue.
we can start our program. And this is a special program that we're having tonight because it's been a rather remarkable and memorable year for several reasons. And what we want to do tonight is honor some of our Audubon members who we lost during this past year, not to COVID, but for other various health reasons. So tonight is a memorial to 3 Audubon members who did a pretty significant effort to Audubon, and we're going to recognize that. So I'm going to start it off, if I can, here with sharing my screen. And let's see if I can do this. All right, can you all see this?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't she cute? This is an early picture of Nancy Hultquist.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
Nancy was a member of Audubon probably over the last decade or two. You may recall if you came to our programs there in Hal Holmes when we could meet in person, Nancy would be sitting there up close to the front row and videoing a lot of our programs. And then also she and her husband, John, rarely missed our annual picnics, and she took a lot of pictures there. So she was kind of our historian for us in taking pictures. So anyway, her husband, John, provided me with some pictures of Nancy so that we can honor her life. And this was one picture of Nancy. I think she was maybe about 3 years old. Nancy was born and grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. She went on to some pretty remarkable academia accomplishments. She first went to Georgia State University, where she got her undergraduate. Then she went on to the University of Cincinnati and got her graduate degree.
67.
From there, she taught at Georgia State she also went on to the University of Iowa. And then she moved out west. They had their calling and they came out west. And they went, she and John both came out to the University of Idaho. Now, while she was in Idaho, she acquired her first dog, a Brittany here that you see, and she was quite the animal lover. She wasn't necessarily a birder at this time, but you will note that a Brittany is a wonderful bird dog. So I'm going to point out some of the birding aspects of Nancy's life. She raised these Brittany Spaniels for a number of years while she was at Idaho. She was well known nationally for the Cedar Ridge kennels because her bird dogs excelled in field runs. Finally, she and John came to Central Washington University back in 1988. And they really enjoyed their life here. They have a place up the Nanum. I'm not sure how close you may be to Leslie there, but anyway, this is a picture
Close.
here of John and Nancy at the wind farms, and I think they're trying to look like the wind turbines, but when I look at this, I think they're trying to fly. So, you know, here they are. They're birds taking off in this photo. Nancy was a lifelong fiddler. She played the fiddle since she was 4 years old. So when she came to Ellensburg and to Central, she came up, she joined the Old Time Fiddlers. And this shows Nancy with her fiddle here. And I think this is where she became acquainted with Jan and Steve. And one of Nancy's loves of her life and where she really felt she contributed was when the fiddlers would go into assisted living and nursing homes and those types of places and play for people. And she really enjoyed that. But I'm assuming since she knew Jan and Steve, she then started to come to Audubon. And she and John were interested in anything the natural resources, so Audubon suited their interests there. Now, John couldn't tell me what Nancy's favorite bird was, or if she had a spark bird. But he did tell me that she was afraid of chickens. But what I found was that here's this photo of Nancy and John at the White Heron Winery. So this tells me that maybe Nancy's favorite bird is a white heron. Nancy was an entertainer and she enjoyed life. And I think these next two photos will show how fulfilling she had in her lifetime. And there she is with her fiddle. So I take this time to honor Nancy, and I'm thankful that we got to know her and that she was a part of our Audubon community.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm going to turn this over now to Jan and let her share the screen, and she can take it over for now.
Okay, so how do I share it?
At the bottom of your screen, there should be a share screen button. and just start that, and then it should bring up your,
On mine.
yeah, what's available.
Here, make it
Okay,
big.
starting to
Make it
share.
big.
There you go.
Make it big.
Can we do full screen, I wonder?
Probably. Click on it. Well,
Would this be better, maybe? Like that?
we're learning. You can click that off. Okay, I guess that'll do. Well,
Make sure people can see that. Can people see her picture?
Yes.
okay, great. This is a picture that was taken in 2018, actually maybe 2016. That her friend, her dear friend Joellen Richards, which some of you may know or know of, she was a biologist on the Cle Elum Ranger District. Is that right, Judy? And she met Marianne. Well, I'll read a little thought. I got some information from the obituary that was posted in the Daily Record, and the rest was from Joellen, who was kind of reminiscing about her experience with Marianne. They were close friends and did a lot of birding together. So first of all, I'm going to read you about her, about Marianne. This is from a very nicely written obituary that was in the paper. Marianne Vogel Gordon was more than a pretty face. Born on January 28, 1930, to Joshua and Helen Vogel of Beaux Arts, Washington, which I don't know where that is. Marianne was the youngest of 6 children. She was involved with nature from a very young age, and she was always learning and pushing beyond the limits of the roles of women in the she was born in 1913. No, what did I say? 1930, sorry. And so she went to Central. She went on to go to college, one of 6 children, and she took an industrial arts course, which in the 1950s would have been pretty unusual, and she probably got a lot of flack from fellow students and teachers. But she built a full-size weaving loom, which the family said is still being used by someone in the family. So she must have been a weaver, and I didn't know that about her. But she was also an artist. She painted. She read copious books, including way too many books by Ewell Gibbons, who some of you may remember, who was a forager. And she was a teacher, and she was a tough teacher. And I think those of us who knew her, even for a short time, knew that she was a very determined lady, and sometimes could be a little intimidating, but she believed that people should learn by doing and finding out themselves. So if someone had a question, her pat reply was, look it up. And in those days, it was not on a computer, it was in the encyclopedia, or go to the library and research it. And so I know that she was known as a really tough teacher, and I can believe that from my knowing of her. She married Merle Thomas Gordon. Doesn't say what year, but she expanded her horizons. This is from the family. Even as she, oh dear, I can't read it. Even as she wrangled a brood of 5 rambunctious children, she became a competitive sharpshooter, hunted mule deer and grouse alongside Dad, her husband, and in the 1960s coached the local junior rifle team. Mom hiked and camped. She gardened and she logged countless miles in our faithful Willie's Jeep. She chopped firewood, gathered wild berries, painted and photographed much of the valley's scenery, read way too much Yule Gibbons, and something happened with and most recently fell in love with Kittitas County. So much so that by the 1980s, Mom was ready to go to bat for our beautiful forests and the creatures that inhabit them. Joining with residents of the upper county to stop the logging that was then denuding our mountains and valleys at a frightening pace. As she explained to a reporter from the New York Times in 1989, when they're done cutting it all, there won't be a forest anymore. She was also a thoughtful steward of the world around her. She supported Kittitas Audubon, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Alpine Lakes Protection Society, the Sierra Club, and many other organizations devoted to the preservation of our wild lands and wildlife. It was an activism that informed her educational activities. Trained as a teacher, I already told you this, but I'm going to read it. Mom remained a teacher, a tough one too. You know the kind, those who refuse to do their students' thinking for them. Look it up, being one of her favorite phrases. Her children had front row seats in classrooms that ranged from mountain meadows to the kitchen table. So she was a teacher. Let's see if we can find another picture. These are not necessarily in order. So this is Marianne in 2018, sorry. And she was always working on her computer. She was very adept at using the internet, and she did a lot of research for the environment and for birds. She did the cross-checking for our CBC and for the backyard bird count. So she took all the files and made sure that everyone had filled in all the blanks. And she and Merle lived in the Teanaway, and in the Tainham, that's where they raised their children, in an old farmhouse that I think was built before, but Merle did a lot of additions and fixer-uppers. And she had a corner office that faced a row of tall birches and a big orchard of historic fruit, pears and apples and plums, and a garden. And so she kept a log of all the birds that she saw every day for many, many years. And I was privileged to go out there. I can't remember if you went with me, but we went out there and saw where her office was, looking out at this beautiful forest scene and watching the birds that came to her feeders, which included, woodpeckers and forest birds that we don't see down here, mountain chickadees, and I forget what else. Anyway, so this is her in her office. here.
Mhm.
And this is her in maybe 2013. These are photos I got from her daughters and nieces. This is in Gallery 1, where she was attending an exhibit, and she did very nice watercolor paintings. And I wasn't able to get a photo of one that her friend Joellen had, but we have several in our house. So she was a devoted artist, which complemented her birding and her outdoor and environmental activities. Let's just do another photo here. This is her in, I'm gonna say, Joellen sent me quite a number of, here it was, in 1998. This is what Joellen writes. My husband, Alex, and I joined Marianne and Merle on a hike to the top of Iron Peak in the Teanaway. Merle was a strong hiker, and Marianne always expected to lag far behind. On this trip, she and I took our time while Merle and Alex continued ahead. We were slow and steady and rested often. She said, 10 to 20 steps, rest, repeat. That sounds like me, I should say. She was in great spirits and was so proud when we finally reached the top. It was a beautiful, sunny, and joyful day. Merle and Marianne delighted in lingering snow patches at the top. And so we will see if we can get to those photos. Here they are. So that's Merle and Marianne. A little bit hard to see, but she's looking young and happy. So I'm just going to read a little bit more here. I don't know how much time I'm limited to, but am I doing okay, Judy? Am I doing all right in time?
I can't see what time it is, but maybe 5 more minutes because
Okay.
that'll put us at a little bit after 7:30, and Leslie has quite a program to put on.
Okay, great. There was a time in Kittitas County in the 1980s when many were alarmed about the rate of harvest on private state and federal lands and resulting lawsuits affecting all. I was a young wildlife biologist, this is Joellen, on the Cle Elum Ranger District and found a wealth of knowledge about our forest in Marianne Gordon. She stepped up as a citizen Audubon representative to the Yakima Resource Management Cooperative, the first attempt by landowners, land managers, and stakeholders in the Upper County to sit down together and talk about issues we all faced and come up with local actions to benefit wildlife and fish. Marianne joined me and wildlife biologists from Fish and Wildlife, Plum Creek Timber Company, and the Yakima Nations for regular meetings, voluntary, and we successfully hammered out some early voluntary agreements for more snag restoration in harvest areas. We're still working on that. Riparian protections and thresholds for maximum harvest in a watershed. Much has evolved since then, but I remember that first effort at cooperation and understanding. Marianne, who had lived close to the land, was an environmentalist and pragmatic, a real asset to our discussions. I'll just do one more. They always did the backyard bird count, the Great Backyard Bird Count, which is President's Day weekend in February. She considered all of Kittitas County her backyard. For years, she planned a route that covered 6 to 8 zip codes in the county. I didn't know we had that many zip codes in the county. I'd drive, but she was the leader. We'd cover about a mile in each area. It was always an all-day affair and always fun. Marianne always took notes and reported our sightings. So, yeah, there's a couple more. So this is Marianne and her friend Joellen. Marianne was at the Meadows assisted living, and this was taken shortly before she died in May of this year. But she still had that smile, and she was working on her breath still. So it was a privilege for me to know Marianne. I didn't get to know her really well. It turned out that when she had to move after Merle died, she had to sell her place, and she didn't want it to go just to anybody because it was such a beloved place for them. And so at the time, my sister and brother-in-law were looking for a place in the country. And so they negotiated with Marianne, and since you know that Marianne was hardcore, it was a difficult negotiation at times, but they succeeded, and my sister and her husband have done a lot of improvements and restorations out there, and they love it. And so they're living on Marianne and Merle's land and keeping it the way she would have kept it. So thank you, Marianne.
Great.
Okay, Leslie, we're going to turn it over to you, and you should be able to share your screen. And
Yeah, okay, sounds good. First thing I want to do, let's see if I can do this. Alrighty. Here we go. Can everybody see that okay?
yep, looks good.
All right, so I did not know Jim very well. I only knew him for the last couple of years of his life. And a lot of you probably attended the memorial service or saw the lovely obituary that was in the paper. And what I am going to do with this is not do a lot of talking, but I am going to show a whole bunch of pictures. This was borrowed from Jim's son, who made a really nice DVD and showed it at the memorial service. It's about 7 minutes long, and it's a bit much. I decided because of the program and that I would go ahead and do it fast forward and make some comments along the way. So here we go. Hopefully I can do this. Let's see. Come on now. It says it's playing, but it's not. Oh, here we go. Jim loved music. And I thought it quite amazing that that his son actually put Beethoven's Fifth as the music behind this. When I put it on fast forward, the music is going to go away. But this is Jim when he was very, very little. Jim when he got married. What I like about the music is that it reminds me how exuberant Jim was with everything that he did. He mostly lived in the Northeast around New York, from what I understand. And Sue, you can jump in here and correct me if I'm wrong. They had 2 kids. That's Jim with Sue right there. And they had a lot of fun together, as you can see. He was very much an adventuresome person, just like a lot of people are in Audubon. And he was Mr. Exuberant and sometimes Mr. Funny, as you can see here. They did a lot of camping. They screwed around quite a bit, which was great. And Jim did a lot of volunteering. That's him back here. Worked with family. And this is Jim, how I remember him. Always having a good time. And this is kind of Sue here. When he was younger, this is in, looks like New York State. But he had, from a very early age, he had an interest in birds. We don't see this lovely guy around here. This is a cardinal, of course. But he also, again, he liked to fool around. He also was a member of Toastmasters, and he is remembered for that in Ellensburg, as well as for his participation in Audubon. And he, like Marianne, did a lot of hiking and a lot of exploration in a lot of different ways. He and Sue enjoyed being with their dogs. He enjoyed backpacking and hiking. They did a lot of traveling, not only to places like New Mexico there, but also to places like Africa and to Europe. And we'll see some pictures of that later on here. Jim, quite a bit younger. He clearly was in some sort of contest here, but I have no idea what. And again, up on a mountain somewhere. He always enjoyed that. Down in New Mexico again. This is Jim in his later years, again with Sue, enjoying family members and friends here. I wonder if Sue would tell us if that was an anniversary. It's a nice picture. He was a very loving man, as well as being quite exuberant. Mount Rainier. Looks like they went to Easter Island. And he was never too far away from a pair of binoculars when he went places. He got to be a grandfather. Couple times over. And I'm not sure where this is, but it certainly could be Rimrock Lake. With his grandkids. He was an avid reader. Family man. And again, very fun, very exuberant, with so many things that he did. Had a really amazing family. And I think at this point, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit so the music is going to go away. But you can see lots of family, lots of friends, just lots and lots and lots of good times with one of his grandchildren. He went to India. He went to Seattle. He clowned around. I'm not sure what mountain this is, but nice picture. He took a riverboat trip that looks like the Danube, again with his granddaughter, Hawaii. Nice garden. There he is in the background celebrating one of his accomplishments of one of his grandkids. Africa. I think that's probably more Africa. More Africa. Now he's acting, and this is Jim as we knew him. Very, very, very interested in birds and an absolutely fantastic person. So that I am going to can I share the screen here, Judy? Let me see. Oh, no. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, let me see if I can get it into the full screen. But if it looks good, I might just continue this. Okay, this is not my presentation. This is Jim Briggs's presentation that I've put together based on some of the stuff that he shared via a USB with Barry Brunson and then with me. It's kind of a reflection on him as a bird watcher and also a reflection on those of us who like birds and as a group are considered bird watchers. But the funny thing is that really his thought now is that we're no longer bird watchers. We are birders because that's much more cool. The thing I love about this picture here, you can see this is Sue, his wife. This is his daughter. And look what Jim's doing. Not too interested in having his picture taken. He's more interested in looking at the birds. Okay. I am on screen sharing, but I don't want to. Here we go with the slideshow. Okay. So the first thing that you need when to know about birding is that there's basically two kinds of people who like birds, scientists and amateurs. And when I say I here, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about Jim. I am just basically channeling Jim right now, but not nearly in a great man and a humorous manner the way he can do. I'll try my best. Scientists and amateurs, I fell into both categories, although I was never as cool as the amateur pictured here. I really wanted to study birds, so you can see how cool this amateur is. I really wanted to study birds, but all the scientific philology suffer from one big problem. And guess what, you guys, what this problem is? There are not enough jobs to go around. So if you are an unemployed ornithologist or a budding ornithologist that can't find a job, you have a huge infrastructure to fall back on as an amateur. And you can see what that is. That's the Audubon Society. And this happened to be, I believe, one of the first Audubon societies that he got involved in that was Massachusetts. So I'm going to take this off. There we go. Now that birds have been recognized as the last of the dinosaurs, they went way up on the coolness meter. So here we've got a bird fossilized, and here we've got mainly an artist's depiction of what that bird looked like when it actually had feathers. And you could see here, anyone might think it was just a dinosaur, a nice long tail, but we all know that dinosaurs had feathers, right? So bird watching has become a popular pastime, but unfortunately it developed a bit of an image problem. think Miss Hathaway of the Beverly Hillbillies. Now, those of you who never saw the Beverly Hillbillies, it was a television program that was very silly. It was a bunch of folks from back in the Tennessee area who struck oil on their place, and they got rich and decided to move to Beverly Hills. So they were known as the Beverly Hillbillies. That was the name of the show. And there was a woman that was a next door neighbor of theirs, I believe, and she didn't like them, and she spied on them all the time. So this is Miss Hathaway, who was the nosy neighbor. She had a very androgynous voice. She wore wire-rimmed glasses and wore a safari suit with a floppy hat. She was the quintessential bird watcher, and we have been trying to live it down ever since. Oh, and so we lived it down, huh? The first thing we did was learn to call ourselves birders instead of bird watchers. So this kind of helped when this guy decided that he was going to take on the role of one of the bird watching people or birders in The Big Year. This is, help me.
No, I can't.
Oh, anyway, he's a comedian. He's a movie star comedian
There are
person.
probably many of you who know the name.
Yeah, probably more than I do. That's for sure. So then the idea was to not only get cool, have a movie made about you, but then to try to lose the uniform. But we probably didn't do that. As you can see here, the uniform looks pretty much the same, right? So what do birders do? Well, they look at birds, right? And they name birds and they get all excited about things that birds do. Well, some birds' names tend to be very descriptive, and therefore they're really easy to identify and to remember, like the blue-footed booby in the Galapagos, or the titmouse, who kind of looks gray like a titmouse. The brown and tufted, or peewee, or the Annie, the blue-footed. These are descriptive terms that help us to remember what birds are supposedly look like. Lots of descriptions here: yellowlegs, wagtail, dippers from our cricks around here, redtail, broadwing, red shoulders, etc. All descriptive names. These are examples of geographic birds' names. They supposedly were named for the places in which they are found, but let's think again. California quails are found in Washington. Tennessee warblers, or excuse me, not Tennessee, but Nashville warblers are found in Washington. So much for geographic names. They may help you remember the bird, but they're not they're not helpful in figuring out where the bird's supposed to be, right? More interesting are the names of flocks of different kinds of birds, like a sedge of cranes, and these are sandhill cranes right in Othello. A kettle of hawks, nice red-tailed hawks, probably working on a thermal, getting ready to migrate. A murder of crows. This is an attempted murder. This is a great example of Jim's humor. An invasion of starlings. Whoops, I made that one up. It really takes very little in the way of equipment to bird. Oops, let's do this again. There we go. It really takes very little in the way of equipment to bird. You just need a pair of binoculars and a guidebooks, and some people buy a spotting scope. You also need a cool car, like a Subaru. And of course, this car says on the back, bird nerd, which is kind of neat. But the thing I like about this photo is this Canada Jay here, who's much smarter than the folks that are taking the photograph and going ahead and stealing their lunch. The Subaru is, in Jim's words, is the official birder's car, and you better not get caught in the field without one. By the way, this birdmobile belongs to Kittitas Audubon's own cricket web. At least it did when the picture was taken. You think I am kidding? Subaru knows marketing, and look at what they posted in the Audubon on the Audubon website. Cornell Lab of Ornithology's eBird will now be available as an in-car application. Here is where the Miss Hathaway uniform can help. If you have a few arm patches, you can convince the police that you are after birds and not looking through windows. Just don't mention those junior high names. Serious birders keep a life list of all the different species they have seen, a life list. There are currently about 2,070 different North American species as determined by the American Ornithologists Union. Of this number, I have seen a whopping 359. That's a fair number and the result of a lifetime of honest tallying. We'll see how honest Jim really is. Oh, I did count an American flamingo. I saw it at Jungle Gardens, and a fulvous whistling duck or tree duck back then that I saw in the San Diego Zoo. But hey, they weren't in cages, so they must count. Here we go. Yeah, okay, so his name is Owen Wilson. There's the movie. Yes, there's room in birding for type A's as depicted in The Big Year, but also for the nature communer and everybody else in between. If those of you who have not seen this movie, this was folks trying to get in as many birds as they can, having their big year, and there was incredible competition. It's actually quite funny. If you're on a trip, you can also bird from your vehicle. On a Kittitas field trip to Malheur, we saw many of our birds from vehicles, including a Phrygianus hawk, which is this guy here. But we were slowly cruising on a side road and stopped when somebody spotted something interesting. Birding on the highway is probably even more dangerous than texting. Yeah. There is an alternative to birding on the highway. The driver can develop a pretty good bird list just by looking at license plates. You could check off 4 birds here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 3 more, including a state bird, an endangered species, and a conservation triumph. Okay, so I believe that that's the state bird. That's the conservation triumph, and that's the endangered species. No, there's an osprey, so this must be the conservation triumph, and this is the endangered species. That's probably Arkansas, so they're probably still trying to find this pileated woodpecker in the swamps. If you look closely here, you can see a scissor-tailed flycatcher in the Oklahoma plate. Is that a great plate or what? Some of these plates are even works of art. Our little friend, the chickadee. Here's a bunch more license plates. Roseate spoon, rose-breasted grosbeaks. That's a heron of some sort. Our friend, the cardinal. Bob whites, loons in Minnesota. People can also support their causes by paying extra. This guy did that. Here's another one, support wildlife refuges. Now, whose license plate might this be? Maybe Barry Brunson's? I asked the owner about this license plate. He said to read Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. Remember what the Lorax said? That's really true of anybody who cares about conservation, isn't it? Does this count as a sighting? This is not a Subaru, but it's close. Grab a birder. I saw this one at the Audubon convention at Skamania one year. I knew it was bird oriented, but it took a while to figure it out. Does anybody know what this is? Happens to be the genus of the varied thrush. You gotta be a real nerd, a real ornithologist to know all the scientific names. Just like it's not a good idea to go birding during hunting season, you have to be alert on the highway as well. And I think here Jim is referring to the deer, that if you're not looking and you're around the late afternoon, early evening, you can run face to face with a deer when you're not looking. Certainly out where I live, that's true. Okay, getting back to my hard-won life list. Back in the 70s, the holy grail of birding was the peregrine falcon, which was endangered at that time. I just missed seeing one at Hawk Mountain in Pennsylvania because I was answering the call of nature in the bushes. My birding friend saw it, unfortunately, and constantly reminded me of his birding status and my small bladder. It took me decades, really, to add the peregrine falcon to my list. Then they took away one or maybe two of my hard-earned sightings. This yellow-rumped warbler was created in 1973 by combining the myrtle warbler and its western counterpart, the Audubon's warbler. So, if you had seen a myrtle and an Audubon before 1973 and a yellow rump after, you can count 3 birds on your life list. Ethically, I suppose I should have only counted 1, but I had worked too hard for my 359 birds. So I tried it, but I was called on that by my Hawk Mountain friend. One thing a birder does not want is the reputation for padding. Even Kenny Bostwick, the super competitive birder from the big year, was scrupulous about his life list. So voila, I am now down to 357 birds. But I have a chance to get one back. The splitters are in charge at Audubon now, and they have recently split the Western breed into the Western breed and the Clark's breed. Pretty subtle difference there. So I am off to the Subaru dealers. Then I'm going to join the crowd trying to see a Clark's breed, and you better join me before the lumpers get back into power. There they are. So is that a Western or a Clark's? Who knows? I would say that's probably a Western. So there we have Jim's legacy. Whether he ever got back up to 358, I do not know.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, Leslie.
You are very welcome. I want to say to everyone, and certainly to Sue, I consider it a privilege to have known Jim. He is really a wonderful person, and I'm sure he would have had a lot more to share with us as far as programs had life given him the chance.
Okay. Sue, do you want to say anything about Jim and his birds? I mean, you had to tolerate that. How?
Well, I loved the program, and I could hear his sense of humor. He was always a good birder. Thank you. All right.
Amen, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, we miss him dearly. And For those who didn't know, Jim was our lifelong secretary at
He loved that
Kittitas
position.
Audubon. I think he served a couple of terms as president, but then he became the secretary. And whenever it came up to Jim, do you want to renew again? Oh yeah, I'm your lifelong secretary. So
The reason he liked that so well, he said it kept him focused because he really was a bird walker. He would walk, that kept him focused. So that was good. So thank you. What a nice program. I just want to know how I can get this recording to share with the family.
We have this set up automatically for Zoom to record this, and then they will send the link, and I can save it or I can upload it to YouTube. But whichever way we handle it, Sue, we'll make sure that you have the link of where to get it.
That would be wonderful because I know Jay and Amy would enjoy it too.
Yes.
Judy.
So if I get the link sent to me, I'll send it to your email, just like I did last time, okay?
Perfect. That was nice. You did a great job, Leslie. Thank you.
Well, you're too kind. I really wish I could channel his sense of humor a lot better, but I am who I am.
Well, you did a great job. It was fine. Thank you.
Judy, I have a question about the recording. If it's on Zoom, if a person doesn't have Zoom at all, can they still watch it?
Yes.
Because
I think they can, but I can get it over into YouTube, which I've done before for a program so that more people can watch it. I'll just have to go in again and figure that out, and that might take a few days. So don't expect it here in the next day or two, Sue, but maybe out during the weekend, I can go back through my notes and figure out how to convert it over to a YouTube format.
a number of people from a number of Marianne's family who sent me photos and information, and her friend Joellen would love to see the program. So I'd appreciate that too.
Yeah, as I'm sure that John Holquist will want to see it.
Yes.
He does not have Zoom capability. So I'll do my best. We can probably get it in both formats, both on Zoom, but then I will take it and convert it to YouTube.
Okay, great.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want?
Sue, Jim mentioned to me several times that we shared being a Kansas State University alumni. What was when was he at Kansas State and what did he study there?
I'll probably get this wrong, but he was there from 1965 through 1967. And he was a zoology major and he studied under Dr. Robel.
Great.
Bob Robel was my major professor, but I wasn't in college, but when Jim was there.
Ah, he was quite a guy.
That picture that Jim took about the bird nerd license plate, that was Marianne's license plate.
Oh, wonderful.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's her email.
Oh, that's great, Gloria. Gloria, thank you for that.
Yeah,
How appropriate.
yeah.
Well, I think we've probably concluded our programming for the night. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. And, when you sign off, give a little prayer and thoughts to our three members that we honored tonight, Nancy, Marianne, and Jim. And they're certainly in our thoughts and will remain there for quite a while.
Yeah.
I'll bring up a couple of other active birders in the early years. Bee Buzetti, whose trust fund we benefit greatly from, and her partner May Morey were very active in the early Christmas bird counts, as was Bill Barker.
Hmm.
And I appreciated their support in getting the bird count started here that I think led to Kittitas Audubon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Norm.
Yeah, thank you for that, Norm. And maybe since we have both Glorias here, do you want to give a quick update, Steve, on the bench?
Yeah, the bench is down there on 4th Street. It doesn't have the plaque on it yet, but it has been placed on 4th Street, corner of 4th and Pine. So it's available for people to sit on it starting this Saturday when the market happens. And hopefully it won't be raining, but
And the cutouts are beautiful. I took some photos today when I was walking downtown, and I'll send some out to the board at least, or any members who are interested. But I wish that they had placed it about 2 feet to the left, and it would have been in front of the plain white partition on either between the 2 windows. So the silhouettes of the birds that are on the back are a little hard to see because there's a window with displays in it behind it. I don't know if we can get
I
them
want to
to.
say that Gloria and I had our picture taken on it today.
Oh, you did?
good.
Oh, great, great. Oh, that's
We'll
wonderful.
want a copy of that for sure, for our
But the
history
plaque
file.
wasn't on there.
Yes, yes, please. Oh, that's great. Well, enjoy your visit, Gloria Lindstrom.
I will. I'm going home tomorrow.
Oh,
I've been here a couple days, so.
Great.
great. All right,
Well,
everybody.
Last question. Does anybody know a reliable young person I could hire to tend my feeders while I'm away?
Oh,
Oh,
golly.
Notice he said young.
Yeah.
Yes.
how long are you gone?
I'll be gone from early October until mid-December.
Oh.
Wow.
And the feeder of most concern is the heated hummingbird feeder
Oh,
to keep the Anna's hummingbirds fed during the cold weather.
But Cedar.
You know, you could talk to Susan Kaspari, whose son, Cedar Cunningham, is a very avid birder and probably just a block or 2 away from you. They live on 3rd Street.
She said send it.
Okay, could you email me contact information for him, Steve?
Yes.
Thank you.
He'd probably love that. Okay, well, it's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
It was good to see everyone. Thank you again for the nice tribute to Jim.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
And thank you, Sue, for sharing him with us.
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
It was a great night out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
A little walk down memory lane. We need that.
yeah.
It was good. Thank you.
All right.